Hi guys, and welcome to this video on the full moon in Capricorn that happens on the 13th of July 2022. Thanks for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you today as always. The chart you see next to me here, that's a snapshot of the sky at the moment this full moon is going to take place. And you may see some symbols that you don't recognize. I've included Ceres, which is the goddess of summer and abundance and nature. Then I've also included an Arabic part, the part of fortune, which says which is all about what's the luck factor here on this day. And then I've included Pallas Athena, which is Jupiter's daughter, responsible for justice and art and war. So I was just prompted to include these different energies to give me a fuller picture of what this full moon is about. So I'll look at those as well. This full moon happens at 7:37 in the evening, and that's based on Central European time. We've got a full moon here, right? So the full moon is waxing right now. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you'll feel the influence of this full moon over the 12th, 13th, and 14th of July. The point of climax is at this moment at 7:37 in the evening, and that's when the moon says, okay, all the work I've done over the last 28 days is complete now. I feel a sense of accomplishment, so I'm going to let go of all of this energy, and that's when we feel it. So we're going to be showered in Capricorn energy, and we're going to be heavily influenced by that. Capricorn is an earth sign. It's about work and being practical, setting goals, and then doing the legwork to achieve those goals. It's not particularly fun. It doesn't care if you're full of joy or if you're delighted. What it's interested in is that you're making an effort and that you're doing the work. So with that, I would suggest that it's a good idea to give yourself some time to recharge your batteries, to do things that you do enjoy, things that may seem frivolous, just so that you're able to sustain this energy and you're not just working yourself into the ground. Because the moon in Capricorn, if you have this in a birth chart, you'll see people who have that influence. They often work very hard, but they're also prone to kind of burnout because there's an imbalance. It's like, I'm just a machine. I have to work, and there's no time for rest or relaxation. So the moon is at 21 degrees, 2 and 1 is 3. That's communication and new beginnings. And the moon is what comes naturally on an emotional level. The two luminaries in the chart, the moon, your feelings, the sun, your head, so heart and head. The moon is what you can immediately tap into, and the sun is what you're striving towards. And I mentioned this in the weekly horoscope, but I feel when I looked at the week and when I looked at this full moon, I was like, oh, great. A full moon in Capricorn is going to be straightforward. Feet firmly planted on the ground. It's going to be easy to understand. This one is the opposite of that because we have so much Cancer energy in this chart. The problem I feel of this, and the major warning that I want to give, is that emotionally things are so extreme and over the top that it may be very difficult to suss out what it is you're feeling. And then with the harsh kind of demand of the moon in Capricorn, which says, hey, work really hard regardless of what you're feeling, and also plan ahead and decide what you're going to be working on in the next couple of weeks and months. The big issue I feel with this full moon is that you can get yourself in a situation where you're exerting a lot of energy and putting a lot of effort into an area of your life that you don't usually even care about. So I think the way to differentiate here is if you suddenly get an idea on the 12th, 13th, 14th, and it becomes paramount and it feels super urgent, and it's like, okay, I have to do this now. This is all that matters. That's a red flag because it sounds to me like the lower self trying to take you in a wrong direction. If you get a prompt or a desire to work on something which has been around for a while, like I want to change how I live, where I live, I want to change what I do for work, and I've contemplated that for the last couple of months or even years, that's something to invest in. And I feel that before you rush off in any direction here during this full moon, take a moment to try and ascertain what your feelings actually are. Because your feelings are an important guidance system, right? If you think about a relationship, I have a natural affinity for this person, I like them, there's some sort of natural rapport, then I'm going to work towards getting to know them better. If I have no idea how this person makes me feel and I'm still going to do all the work, then that's not as wise, because what if I fundamentally have nothing in common with that person and now I've spent all this time and energy for what? Us still being strangers? So that's the key thing here, I think, to work in a way that's aligned with your feelings, and not to just drive yourself to be productive even if you have no emotional affinity for it. Okay. So the sun then is at 21 degrees in Cancer. The sun, what you're striving towards in Cancer, it also puts quite a lot of responsibility on you. It says use your emotional awareness to be of service to other people and to make sure that there's well-being and that people are happy and that you express yourself creatively. It demands, and it kind of says that you're in a good space emotionally, and therefore you have a duty to be of service and to share all those good things. Well, what I've said so far is that it's difficult to suss out what you're feeling. So rather than immediately working to help everybody else, I think it's really essential to include yourself in that list and to say, I'm going to be of service to myself first and foremost. And at the very least, I'm going to try and understand what I'm feeling so that I don't waste my energy. 3 is about communication and new beginnings, and Cancer is water. So a connection to source is available, and I think that's going to make it clearer as to what it is you're feeling and what you're going through. And it also allows you to be creative. So music and art and writing, anything where you're able to capture your feelings in some sort of tangible format where you actually then can look at it. So you can either read back what you've written, or you can listen to the music that you've created, or you can see the artwork. I feel that that's a really nice tool to understand your own emotions. You know, sometimes like if you're doing a personal inventory or something and you write down thoughts that you've chosen to be true, once you see them in black and white, you're like, do I really think this? So that's the kind of thing, just keeping it simple and putting it in some sort of earthy format is going to help you discern what's actually going on for you emotionally. Now, what's interesting is that next to the moon, we've got Pluto, the planet of transformation and change. That's at 27 degrees in Capricorn. So Pluto encourages you to change your circumstances. And with the moon in Capricorn too, again, it says change everything around and do it in a really extreme way. But the good news about Pluto is that at 27 degrees, that's 9. 9 is the vibration of spirituality and completion. If you look at 9 in the tarot, it's the Hermit. So before you do anything life-changing or transformative, please do meditate on it or contemplate what you're about to do, or at least get some sort of semblance of, this is how I feel. It makes me either feel nervous or good or calm or whatever, or excited. And that's what I'm going to take into the work. If it's like, I have absolutely no idea, but I'm going to make these life-changing things happen anyway, then again, that's a red flag that you may be making a mistake and causing more problems for yourself, which you then have to spend a lot of time undoing later on. So Ceres is abundance, like I said, and at 25 degrees in Cancer, it allows you to be very, very creative, but also it takes this level of, I need to parent other people, it takes that to the extreme. So rather than being responsible for other people's well-being, pour all of that energy into getting something concrete down on paper that you can then look at and help. The part of fortune is at 18 degrees in Cancer, similar to Pluto. So the big luck factor is, I've checked in with my higher self. Higher self says, yep, this is a good idea. Then I'm going to do it. Mercury is at 17 degrees in Cancer. And that takes you away again from yourself and puts you firmly in the realm of, I need to be a nurse to other people and make them feel better. Black Moon Lilith sits on top of that too, 10 degrees in Cancer, and it says, hey, taking care of yourself is a big no-no. Make sure that everyone else is happy, not you. All I want from you is that you're a robot and that you're working really hard. So as I'm talking here, you can tell that this full moon isn't the most fun-loving and easiest full moon that we're ever going to get. You can be very productive, but there are key things that need to be put in place for it to actually work for you. Like checking in with your emotions and understanding those first and foremost before changing your practical circumstances. So let's see what other relationships the moon then forms. First of all, it sits 3 degrees away from the rising sign, the ascendant. In your birth chart, I look at the rising sign as your default setting. If you're in a crisis, you'll react this way. And that encapsulates everything I've said so far. It's in Capricorn, so work, but it's also at 18 degrees, which is the hermit. So first and foremost, work on your spiritual understanding, and that then allows you to take good practical action. The moon then sextiles the midheaven in Scorpio, which is really useful because a sextile melds two energies together in a helpful, positive way so that they function as a team. And the midheaven is what you're good at work-wise, or it's your talent when you're working at something, right? And Scorpio is able to uncover hidden secrets. And the hidden secret on this day is what you're really feeling. So Scorpio allows you to be an emotional detective and to say, okay, I need to understand what's going on for me. This may sound very abstract and pointless to you, but if you think back, if you don't know what's going on for you emotionally, anything you do is going to contain that feeling. And even if it's a major success, it's not going to do much for you because you're like, I still don't know if I actually even enjoy this or not. So who cares? So Scorpio midheaven is at 19 degrees. 1 and 9 is 10. That reduces to 1. So rather than being responsible for other people, take charge of your own feelings. Be the occultist, the emotional psychic, and say, okay, this is what's happening. That's really going to save you a lot of time and effort. Then the moon sesqui squares Pallas Athena at 4 degrees in Gemini. So the goddess of justice and war and art at 4 degrees in Gemini says that you understand yourself and what is going on in your life by giving what's going on in here and in here a physical reality so that you can decode and decipher yourself. So the big mystery of the day is you. Oh, and then if we're doing all this inner digging, you'll be able to discover things about yourself that you've never been aware of before. Okay, so this isn't just a torturous Capricorn moon that says, I'm going to hammer you into the ground here. This is actually an opportunity to go beyond all of that and to say, who am I really? And because it's so extreme, if you, on a fundamental level in your life, don't understand yourself, who am I? What am I doing here? What is this all about? What are my talents? Then because you're forced to be this emotional detective and you're the subject matter, you're the thing being investigated, you'll be able to unearth truths about yourself that you've never been privy to. Okay, so this is a full moon in Capricorn of personal understanding. So make yourself what you're working on, and that's actually going to have a good outcome. I'm really glad I included Pallas Athena. I see why now. The full moon also trines the North Node in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus, and then Mars is a little bit to the side of that. It's not conjunct, so it doesn't influence them immediately. The North Node is what you're trying to get to on a soul level. At 19 degrees, again, that's 10, that's 1 in Taurus, I want to feel rooted and grounded in my life. I want to understand that I'm somehow safe. And it's all this emotional investigating that'll help you get there. Uranus is at 18 degrees in Taurus. Oh, so that adds a very different element. It says that the physical world inspires you in an unconventional way. It says that on this day, if you're trying to understand yourself, you won't get the answers in other people or someone loves me, therefore I must be lovable. You'll get signs from nature, from planet Earth, that relate to who you are. So if you're walking, you know, there's that film like 100 years ago, Steve Martin was in it, and it was set in LA. I think it's LA Story. And he's like going through something and he's driving on the highway and he stops off. There's one of those billboards. It's like a digital billboard and it starts talking to him. So I'm not saying a billboard starts talking to you, but you'll be, the messages you get from your actual life, they won't be arbitrary. They'll be related to this journey you're on. Let's say, okay, just as an example, right? It's not the best example, but it's an example. If you're in a situation where you're like, okay, I've had a job opportunity. Should I go ahead with it? Should I jump on this opportunity and take it? Or should I stand back and stay where I am? Or maybe even go backwards to what I did a year ago? And you're like, I don't understand this. So let me go and try and find a sign. So you go to the supermarket in the parking lot and you're like, the next car, whatever it does, that's going to be a symbolic message as to what I should do. And then let's say the car in front of you suddenly speeds up and pulls out of the parking lot and moves ahead. Then that's a clear message that moving ahead is something that has just appeared. Maybe it's a car that reverses right in front of you and you're like, oh. So do you see what I mean? So assign meaning to things which seem arbitrary, but which you're seeing for a particular reason. Maybe it's a series of numbers. Maybe you see 444 at the library, like the index is 444, which is take divinely guided action and make something super secure happen for yourself. Then that's a sign. Look for, maybe I need a message. Is this the right thing to do? Give me a sign. And you see a feather, which to you may be a symbol that your higher self, your guides, your angels are talking to you. And that's a clue. Basically, look for clues. It's finding significant meaning in things that at other times may seem mundane. During this full moon in Capricorn, they're not mundane. You are a detective, and every little message and symbol that you get has added meaning. Okay, so the moon then also squares Chiron at 16 degrees in Aries. So the key thing here isn't trying to make other people happy. It's trying to, it's getting creative with yourself in order to understand where you are, who you are, what's important, and what direction you're meant to be moving in next. Okay, so we've got that. Okay, so those are the relationships the moon forms with other things. But if you look at this chart and you tilt your head a little bit, you'll see a big blue rectangle. And that's called a mystic rectangle in astrology. It's 2 sextiles and 2 trines which create this big blue rectangle. And I always say that a mystic rectangle is what it says on the tin. It means you're a mystic. It means that you have access to the higher realms that you don't usually have. So, hey, higher self, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I meant to be going ahead? What is important to me? What am I feeling? What's my life all about? The mystic rectangle ensures that you actually get a message back. So some of you, they always complicate this in spiritual circles. They say people are either clairvoyant, so they see things, or they're clairaudient, they hear things, or they're claircognizant, ideas just pop into their head and they know things, or I don't know the one for smell, but the assumption is that you're either one of those things. You either get your messages by seeing them in your mind's eye or hearing messages or whatever. In my experience, you're all 5 of them. Sometimes you'll hear stuff, sometimes you'll see stuff, sometimes you'll just know things. The universe just uses whatever channel is most open at that time to give you your message. You have a physical body with 5 senses or 6, oh God, I don't even know that, 5 senses. Touch, smell, taste, and all those things. But you also have a spiritual body with the same thing. So the universe is going to use whatever channel is most open to give you your messages. So if you suddenly get something internally via your feelings or an answer pops into your head, really listen to that as well as looking to the physical world for messages and answers. This is a day of really digging deep within yourself to unearth hidden treasures and to attain answers to things that have been unclear in the past. Tilt your head again and you'll see a big red triangle. That's called a T-square. So it opposes the midheaven in Scorpio and the North Node and Uranus in Taurus. And then it peaks with the 2 squares on the side of that opposition, and they include Saturn in Aquarius. So the opposition, the friction is, do I do the inner work and look at meaning in myself, or do I look to the world? With them combining Saturn in Aquarius, Saturn is foundation and structure, and Aquarius is the humanitarian, the teacher. 24 is 6, an opportunity. So the answer is both. The world and your higher self, they're both teaching you and they're educating you in terms of who you are, what's important to you, what you're good at, and how you can take that info and build the kind of life for yourself that you've always wanted. You know, if someone else's dream is to become a school teacher and you have no dreams of your own and you like overhear that and you're like, maybe I should become a school teacher. You can try that and see how it goes, but it's far less likely for that to be the ultimate purpose and success in your life. The messages in my experience that actually lead to you doing what you want to be doing, they come from within, or they come from nature or the world that then resonates with you and gives you your own personal message. And particularly on this day, if you're looking for answers, if you're looking for clues, I don't think they're going to come from other people in your life. I just don't. Let's see, what else have we got? Mystic rectangle, opposition. I think that's it, actually. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I get here for you during this full moon in Capricorn. I hope you have an illuminating time. It's really interesting because this isn't a usual full moon in Capricorn at all. It's really not even about what you're doing in a practical sense. It's the work you're doing internally on yourself, which is amazing to me. The strongest mode on this day is Cardinal. Cardinal is about take charge of the situation. You're the boss. You're the pioneer. And it says if you're going to get answers for yourself, then look physically and spiritually and listen and do all of those things in the real world and in your inner world. And it's a process that you can engage with deliberately. If you're just going to sit back and say, okay, I'm waiting for something to appear to me, it's far less likely that you get the answers that you want and need. It's by making an effort and engaging with this process that the penny drops and you're like, ta-da, the light bulb's gone off here. I get it. Okay, so that's what I get for you for this full moon. I hope you have an amazing, revealing time. It looks like the best opportunity ever. Because if we get ourselves, then we can manifest whatever we want. If we're operating in the fog and we have no idea, then everything else is going to be foggy. So this is like clearing up your whole life for you. It's amazing. I hope you have a wonderful time. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to audio reading with me. I use astrology, the tarot, and numerology in my personal readings. I combine all of them the way I combine the numbers and the planets and the asteroids and stuff in this reading. If you have any questions about your life purpose, who you are, the chart really reveals a lot of that to me. And if you have any questions about finance or family or moving or romance or personal development or education, hopes and dreams, anything at all really, please do get in touch with me for a personal reading. Check out the weekly horoscope as well, because it is like an emotionally all over the place week. If you want some more info on that, check out the weekly. The tarot videos that I do on a day-to-day basis. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please hit subscribe and the little bell next to it to be notified of when I go live. And please share the video with friends and family if you want them to see this as well and understand this more, particularly people who are on this kind of mission of personal understanding. Share it if you can. Have a wonderful time and I'll speak to you soon. All the best.